It's been quite the ride this season, but the fantasy playoffs are officially here. Hopefully, you're celebrating a playoff berth and maybe even a first round bye, but you still might have concerns about some of the players that helped get you to this point. I'm Jorden Hill, and we're going to take a look at some of the guys that disappointed in Week 14 and might be setting off some panic alarms for fantasy managers moving forward. We'll dive right in, but first, please be sure to leave a like on the video and drop a comment down below with the names of any players that have you worrying. If you drafted Patrick Mahomes as the first quarterback off the board, you've surely been regretting that choice, as he just hasn't been the same player we've gotten accustomed to seeing. He's had a few nice games here and there, but really just one signature Mahomes performance on the year, and he's just the quarterback 16 in fantasy points per game over the past 4 weeks. Mahomes is always in play for fantasy because of the elite upside that he carries, but I don't view him as a must-start option this week against the Patriots in Foxborough. New England has been great against quarterbacks all season long, and they've been especially dominant recently. I assume if you have Mahomes on your team that you don't have a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson level player to pivot to, but as an example, I think I would play Brock Purdy against the Cardinals over Mahomes on Sunday. Let's move on to the running back position, starting with Gus Edwards. Edwards had a nice stretch in the middle of the season when he scored 9 times from week 7 through 11, but his opportunities are vanishing quickly. He's been given just 15 total touches over his last 2 appearances combined, as Keaton Mitchell continues to run more efficiently. If there's a player available on waivers that you think could help you in the fantasy playoffs, I'd be willing to move on from Edwards. But if not, he's a fine bench stash. You just can't start him with any confidence at this point. Up next, we have a pair of teammates in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. The Pittsburgh backfield was beginning to look like a dynamic duo, as both players had productive outings between weeks 9 and 12, but neither of them has found much success over the past 2 weeks. The Steelers' offense has been a mess all season and looked putrid last week with Mitch Trubisky at the helm. Trubisky will get another start on Saturday, and while I don't have much faith in this team as a whole, I think that Harris and Warren can get the job done against the struggling Indianapolis Colts defense. The Colts have surrendered the 4th most fantasy points per game to running backs on the season, and have been beat up by the position both on the ground and through the air, so I believe Harris and Warren can be viewed as solid flex options in Week 15. He was labeled a potential league winner with Jonathan Taylor sidelined, but things haven't panned out for Zach Moss through 2 weeks of him resuming the lead role. Moss has gained fewer than 2.5 yards per carry over the past 2 weeks and has been stuffed at the goal line numerous times. Assuming Taylor is rolled out again though, I'm willing to go right back to Moss for the first round of the fantasy playoffs. The Steelers' defense is banged up right now and just gave up a huge performance to Ezekiel Elliott last week and to James Conner the week before. Moss is still playing on the vast majority of snaps and deserves to remain in starting lineups as an RB2. Moving on to wide receiver, let's talk about Jordan Addison. The rookie had a stellar start to the campaign with a healthy Kirk Cousins under center, but he's been pretty underwhelming ever since the veteran tore his Achilles. The chemistry just hasn't been there with Josh Dobbs, and even if Nick Mullins gets the start this week, there is still plenty of uncertainty surrounding Addison. Mullins hasn't started an NFL contest since week 15 of the 2021 season. Also, Justin Jefferson suffered a chest injury in his return this past week, but it doesn't sound too serious. If it keeps him out on Saturday, Addison may be necessary in a favorable matchup against the Bengals, but I still wouldn't recommend putting him in starting lineups. If the Vikings say they expect Jefferson to play, however, I think that would render Addison as droppable. And finally, we have Keenan Allen. Allen has been one of the most valuable assets for fantasy all season, with just a handful of lackluster showings. Unfortunately, 2 of these have come at a crucial time in weeks 13 and 14. The volume has still been there for Allen, who earned 12 targets last week, but we all know the real reason to panic right now is due to the injury to Justin Herbert. Herbert, who fractured the index finger on his throwing hand, is likely to undergo a procedure that forces him to miss time. He'll almost certainly be out in week 15, and it's possible that we've seen the last of him this season. Backup Easton Stick is 28 years old with just 25 career pass attempts, and 24 of them came this past Sunday. Allen should still see enough targets to make him a viable fantasy option against the Raiders this week, but he can't be viewed as an elite, must-start player as long as Herbert is out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to subscribe to RotoBaller for more advice during the fantasy playoffs that'll help you win big in 2023. Thanks so much for tuning in, and best of luck in Week 15.